Hi there, it's the first Sunday after Epiphany, and I thought that I'd share a short video reflection on the scripture readings that were set for Epiphany, which was actually yesterday. So the psalm is Psalm 72, verse 1 to 7 and 10 to 14. The epistle is from Ephesians chapter 3, verse 1 to 12, and the gospel reading is from Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 to 12. So feel free to pause the video and have a read of those and then start the video up again. So we've just read from Psalm 72, a song from the Jewish scripture, and this song asks the God of Israel to give their king God's justice and righteousness. The psalm makes it clear that it's talking about a king who will judge the poor fairly and who will make the land productive for the people, a king who will be a protector of the vulnerable and who will avenge the people that take advantage. This song remembers the stories of King Solomon, royalty of the earth flocking to Solomon's court because they were impressed by his wisdom and his wealth. But if we pay attention to the stories about Solomon in the Jewish scripture, we might pick up clues that Solomon was actually a cruel and ruthless king who enslaved his own people in order to build the glory of his kingdom. In this song, they're asking that the royalty of the nations might this time be drawn to Israel because of the king's kindness and goodness and justice. Kindness and goodness that the king has received from God. I wonder, are we hearing about an answer to that prayer in our gospel reading today? We have Magi coming from the east to Jerusalem, and our traditions have often told the story differently, saying that there are three of them and that they're kings or that they're wise men. But there's no number specified. The number 3 comes from the number of gifts that they bring. It's assuming that they brought a gift each. It could actually be a whole crowd of magi of different genders. And magi are not kings, although they might be part of a king's court. Magi are priests of the Persian religion Zoroastrianism, and they were experts in magic, astrology, alchemy, and all kinds of secret knowledge, disciplines that have often been forbidden in Judaism and Christianity. It's through interpreting the stars that they've been led to find the child who they believe will be the king. I'm not trying to ruin the carol We Three Kings. It tells the story differently to how Matthew's Gospel does, and it imagines the visitors as kings in order to make a closer connection with the psalm that we read. The song has 3 of them so that each of them can bring a gift and explain the symbolic significance of the gift that they've brought. Gold means that the baby who has arrived is a king. Frankincense means that he is God, and myrrh foreshadows his death. The song tells the story differently so that it can make closer connections with the psalm and so it can explore the meaning of the gifts. We can cope with different versions of the story, just like we can cope with different gospels held together in the same Bible. We know they aren't trying to tell us the exact historical facts, but they're telling us about ancient Christians' convictions about Jesus, particularly that the good news that he's come to bring is for all the nations, not just for his own people, and not just for the people from within the bounds of the Roman Empire. While Matthew's Gospel doesn't say that the visitors are kings, they do go to visit the local king, because where else would you expect to find a newly born king but in the royal palace? But the actual king in the story is frightened. Herod is frightened. Magi or wizards from the neighbouring empire, from outside the bounds of the Roman Empire, have arrived in his court, and they say that their secret knowledge has led them to believe a king has been born, a king who Herod knows nothing about. Probably not Herod's son. It's not surprising that he's a bit spooked. Unlike the Magi, the king doesn't want to find this baby in order to honour the child, but so that he can have the baby killed. He says he wants to come and honour him, but he doesn't join them in the pilgrimage. He does his own plotting separately. After this, later on in the Gospel, we're told that he has many baby boys killed because he was afraid that one of them might become the king. The Magi are not kings, but they're the ones who come from the nations to honour this child, who they recognise as a king. The good news of Christ's arrival is not just for Jesus' own people, it's for the nations, for foreign people from far beyond the Roman world, for people from outside the Greek-speaking culture of the Mediterranean, for people who practice customs that have been considered forbidden by God's people. In the epistle today, we hear from Paul, who's writing from prison to the Christian community of Ephesus, a Greek city that's now part of Turkey. He says he's in prison because the news of the arrival of this King, Jesus, needs to keep on being shared with the nations. That's why he's ended up in prison. This is not news to be held onto or guarded as secret knowledge. It isn't news to be protected. It's to be handed over and shared. If we share this news, we don't control what the person receiving the news does with it. They will have their own response. As a church, we've tried to control what the receiver does with the good news. We've tried to dictate their response because we once had the power to do that. And it's led to grief over loss of culture and loss of traditional ways of life for many peoples. We need to let people have their own response to the good news. Paul talks about the wisdom of God being known in its rich variety. It's not just about everyone adopting a Jewish form of Christianity that was practiced by the first followers of Jesus. It's not just about everyone following British forms of Christianity that were brought to these lands by the churches. I wonder, can we find ways as Christians to share our faith with an open hand, allowing people from different experiences to choose how they will respond and what they will do with it?